Hey there, welcome back to the Terra Hexa park in Jurassic World Evolution 3. Firstly, apologies it's taken so long to get back into the series. Jurassic World is still very new ground for me, and while I think I have a fun idea to play out with Terra Hexa, I'm battling a voice inside my head telling me it's not good enough, you're playing the game wrong, nobody is interested in this. Pure stubbornness keeps bringing me back to add little bits here or there, and I'm trying to ignore my own negativity telling me to leave it to the experts. End of the day, we really shouldn't let perfect be the enemy of good, and comparison truly is the thief of joy. So onwards and upwards, even if it is a little janky. First episode, I put down roots for the park layout and completed the upper tier around the lagoon. Today I'm adding a nice big hotel for guests in this space, which means I am going to have to move the subway station I put in here, then get into our first land dinosaur habitat. Originally, this central hexagon on the second tier, this was going to be a dinosaur habitat, but given its central location, I'm going to make this into an amenities hub. The subway station, that'll sit in the centre of this, and at some point at a later date, I'll be putting in other guest amenities around this. Haven't thought about this in too much detail yet, but I think we've got options for things like a learning centre, maybe able to get some custom high-rise viewing points or something in here too. Although, hang on, don't viewing points, they have to be connected to a habitat, don't they? Oh, that's not going to work then, is it? We'll think about that at a later date. Now, for the hotel, rather than using the pre-built assets, I wanted to create my own custom hotel from scratch, because that's what I do best. Not an easy task for me currently, I'm still getting used to how modular building works in Jurassic World Evolution 3. It's all still a bit alien compared to, say, the piece-by-piece build system for games like Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster. That said, I found a relatively easy reference design for a unique looking hotel that fit the style I had in mind for this, and I've had a go at translating that into a hotel design in the game. Reasoning behind the design I've gone with, I've picked something I felt best suited the modular building capabilities in the game. So far, I've personally found that the Jurassic World modular build system, it favours blocky square buildings. That's just how it is. Now, personally, I don't like buildings to be too blocky and square, so I'm putting some effort into making this building a bit more angular. This is the central column for the hotel, so is where the entrance and a roof pool, I'm thinking, will go. Difficulty with this is getting the angular pieces to line up with the straight edge top pieces. If I was to use square pieces for the angles, there'd be an ugly bit sticking out at the top. Instead, using the triangle pieces takes a bit more fiddling, but I can get this to line up perfectly with the roof pieces. So that's the central bit, and I think it came out okay looking in the end. Next is adding the side wings for the rooms. An interesting concept in hotel design is creating rooms with a great view, but having them avoid overlooking other rooms. It's kind of seen as the gold standard these days. To achieve this, you invert the wall structure, so for each floor there's an incremental shift in the wall alignment. This creates a space where there's no direct sight lines to the balconies on the floor below. Now, obviously, this sort of stuff doesn't really matter for a game like this, but it's so fun at adding real-life design elements into things like this on occasion. So that's the concept I've gone for. After many, many hours fiddling, deleting, rebuilding, this is what I've come up with for the hotel. Styled this to fit well with the tropical setting of the park, and keeping in style with the modern clean look I've established with the park layout so far. Filled in the structure to a height that it's not sitting higher than the lagoon retaining wall. That'll be important for sightlines when I've completed some of the lower tiers of the park. Looking at the balconies, I'm happy with how this concept worked out. A lot of effort did go into aligning each floor to prevent sightlines into the balconies on the floor below. And yeah, guests would have a great view out here. Very happy with this. For the central column, you've got the reception below, and this is the communal area. So made use of the different window types to look like little cafe areas and such. For the pool, hands up, I think this does feel a bit small for the size of hotel we've got here. Problem is, you can't make the pools any bigger, so I just have to put more in. I did try putting some on the roof, and it didn't look good, so this is all we've got. To make this feel realistic, I've decorated around the entirety of the building. So around the back, I've put in windows where you'd expect windows to be, access and ventilation on the roof, and a staff entrance door and such. There is also a small car park, so we've got space for the coaches and such. That will probably bring guests down from the arrival point. Just trying to make it look realistic. Anyway, that's the hotel done. Next up, need to start getting into doing a habitat. So, truth here, this is the first proper land dinosaur habitat I've created, and it doesn't all go to plan. I've played some of the game tutorials starting out, but honestly, I don't have a lot of patience for tutorials. I play enough to get the basics, then I'm eager to get on with creating my own stuff. I find tutorials in games aren't fun for the most part. They take too long to get through, and that's a me problem because I get halfway through and I'm like, I think I know enough to get the basics, and half the time I don't. That's definitely a problem of my own making there. Idea here was to have a mixed herbivore enclosure, and for that I've picked out Brachiosaurus, Apatosaurus and Stegosaurus. Since with a bit of research on my part, I figured they'd live well together. That I don't think I'm wrong about. What I am wrong about is the space they'd need. The space I've reserved here is nowhere near big enough for all three species, and I have no idea whether I've got the right type of terrain for them, the right water requirements. In that regard, it is a bit of a mess. What I really need is to find a good YouTube tutorial for creating dinosaur habitats in Jurassic World Evolution. I don't need direction on how to build the fences or place viewing points or things like that, but I am struggling with what steps need to be taken to get the terrain right. We'll definitely be looking into that before I attempt any more habitats in this park. Anyway, that aside, I had some issues with the layout here for placing the hatchery. Things like that aren't working well with the pathing layout I've got around the hexagon shape. Similar problems with the viewing points. I simply didn't realise just how big those modular elements are. Might be an issue going forward too when I get to the other habitats, but I'm sure I'll work something out for that. This problem, I am a bit annoyed with myself that I didn't think of this starting out, and it's too late to change the entire layout of the park now. And yeah, this is where my brain is going, it's not good enough, just bin the whole thing. Whereas the flip side, I'm kind of telling myself to stop being such a perfectionist. It is a sandbox park, and it's not the end of the world that some of the dinosaurs in this park, yeah, they might not have enough room. This is a concept, it's a snapshot of what a park like this could look like, not a fully functioning, workable design. I need to be okay with that moving forward, otherwise there's no point doing this series. I think what I'm mostly struggling with and trying to work my head around is that this isn't Planet Zoo. For that, I've built numerous habitats for every species in the game. I generally know what environment each animal will need before placing them. That's not the case with Jurassic World. By design, I think you're meant to place the dinosaurs and then tweak the terrain afterwards. That didn't happen here. That would have helped in terms of the terrain and stuff, but what it wouldn't even have helped out with is the size requirements. I think I'm stuck with the sizes I've already marked out. Future builds though, I should be placing the species before working out the terrain, rock structures, plants and water features. Hey ho, it's a funny mistake this time around. The poor Brachiosaurus in particular isn't happy at all. I've basically placed them in a closet. Really also doesn't help that I messed up synthesizing the Brachiosaurus, and we've accidentally ended up with 6 of them. Whoops. Not yet figured out if I can send a few of these off to live in another park, or if I'm going to have to wait it out for some of them to naturally die out. Until I work out either of those options, then it's certainly close quarters for these species. So that's where I'm up to with Terra Hexa. Some good stuff, and some mistakes made with this iteration. At least end of the day, we're getting somewhere with the park. Next episode, I'll be pushing on with a whole batch of new habitats, adding some carnivores at last, and we'll see how well the park holds together once the real troublemakers move in. Hope to see you there. Thanks for watching, catch you next episode.